Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. As they say. Well, like I say, sorry for the no stream last night. Hopefully this will make up for it. Like I say, last night I got pulled into a British Senate meeting. So, I had to go and do that, unfortunately. But yes, like I say, probably next year that might happen a bit more, since I'm going to be, president of JCI UK. So that's going to be fun. But that will bring its own challenges, and I'm sure you'll probably hear me gripe a bit more about stuff like that maybe next year. Good morning to you, people. Poppy, I can never sure how to say your name, but yeah, good morning to you. We've got a little bit of a horse. Early morning pony for you. Oh, hang on. Christoph, good morning to you from Sound Journey and Free Europe. Good morning to you. But yes, good morning to all joining us, flocking in. Like I say, this is to make up for not doing a live stream last night. Like I say, sometimes you've got to go do stuff, but then it allows us to do stuff like this as well. Sometimes you get a bonus. I mean, technically, you're gonna have a couple morning walks this week. So you've had your bank holiday on Monday. You get in today, and you're probably going to get Saturday as well. Nick B, good morning. Good morning. Helen, you're getting plenty of exercise lately. Indeed. P is perfect. Well, yes. Well, to be honest, this is the walk that I do like every single morning. And like I say, I think I've mentioned this before. I don't think I've talked about this before. Sort of all this area I found sort of during lockdown, where like, oh well, where can I go for a walk? Because I couldn't do sort of my normal route, and then I sort of found this area down here, and then I've been sort of walking it since then. So yeah, it was quite a nice find, to be honest, and one of those things you find you never knew you lived near until you actually went out and explored. So can't complain. I can't complain. And like I say, I think it gives off the impression that I live quite in like a rural area when I really don't. I think you can see in the background, you can see sort of quite an industrial area sort of back there. And then if you were to go sort of, 5 minutes in that direction, you'd reach, the town centre. So, it's not as rural as I think people think it might be. Because I've seen some people comment about that in the past. Oh, you must live in a really rural area. Well, not really. But yes, good morning. Oh, Ben, good morning to you. But yeah, we are in, that's it. It's all over, folks. The the last Tory hustings took place last night. It's all over. It's done. It's finished. And to be honest, what's the best way to describe it? Well, FSM, unusual surprise. Well, good morning to you. But yeah, this is it. This is the final leg. We'll know soon who it is. Yeah, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yeah. Oh, Jonin, good morning to you. Boris cosplaying as someone from the police academy I see in the morning press. Yeah. Yeah, Boris went out on a ride along with the police, which was kind of weird. I did see those pictures. But yeah, it really is very often, it's a strange thought. This is, Boris Johnson's swan song. And you wind it back a couple of months. We had all those scandals and we were all sure, oh my God, this is the one that finishes him off. This is the one that finally gets him. And I think it just was the case, that was the straw that, broke the camel's back in terms of it. There was just one too many scandal, one too many, hiccup. And it really just was the case of, I think that, you had Rishi Sunak and I can see his face. Always do this. I can always see the faces. I'll remember it in a couple of minutes. But we just had, resignation after those, two big resignations, and then just can't, we feel just can't, continue on with the Prime Minister. And that was what was ended up bringing Boris Johnson down. It was just people who were themselves just fed up. With what Boris was selling, and I think even the British people, even the British public, themselves were reaching that stage. So, and then you've got the very bizarre notion, and it could cause quite a serious crisis, because I think we've talked briefly about this before, I mentioned it. There is a petition out by Lord Carruthers, signed to try and get over 10,000 signatures to try and get Boris put on the, back on the candidate list for the voting in the leadership contest. And they very nearly did it, which is shocking. But then again, as I've said before, Boris is really popular in the party still. He's still got that ridiculous popularity that he's always had, in a way. And they came very close. They need 10,000 signatures to have it confirmed. And I think they got like 8,000, and it's technically still ongoing. So if that, hits off, I think, I'm just trying to remember their time frame. They've got to get it done in like the next couple of weeks. And I'm still not sure what their, chances are of doing it. But the fact that they got that many signatures is quite alarming, but would also be incredibly funny if they achieve their target. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah. Oh yeah, Sajid Javid. Yeah. See, I knew I'd remember it later. Always the case. Always the case. Always remember the guy's name later after I forget it. Yeah. But yeah, if that pings, and it's very, very likely not to go off, by the way. Very, very likely not to go off. But it's something that we should probably keep an eye on just in case, because that could cause all kinds of wacky shenanigans to go off. Where you've got Liz Truss confirmed to be the new Prime Minister and leader of the Tory party, and then you've got Boris, and according to the poll results, he's still leader of the Conservative Party, meaning that him and Liz Truss have to have yet another leadership contest between them. And unless one of them stands down, yeah, that could be a real thing that could potentially happen if that petition reaches its goal of 10,000 signatures. Oh, Jay, good morning to you. Mithra, Bernie Sanders at the Enough is Enough meeting last night. Best president the US never had. Well, I'd say that of Ed Miliband as well. Oh, Mithra, good morning to you as well. So, I was worried about because I wore my shorts this morning. It was too cold, but now I'm walking. I'm actually getting quite warm. But yeah, it's kind of weird that we're at the end of the, one phase and going into the next. Morning. And I think the more that, we're going from the Johnson age into the Truss age. And let's face it, it's not going to last long. It's not going to last long. I mean, I suppose you've all seen the Express headline that Truss is apparently meant to be turning to Jacob Rees-Mogg, of all people, to help her come up with a solution to the energy crisis. And I'm not joking. This is a real thing that apparently happened. That she reached out to Jacob. You could reach out to maybe an expert in the energy market. Or as we've had come out this morning, one of the bosses from the big energy companies has come out with this 10-point plan about how the government could actually help people. Maybe you reach out to one of them, but no, instead you reach out to Jacob Rees-Mogg. It just goes to show you just how out of ideas The Conservative Party really is. And just the fact that they are just willing, through, ideological purity, not going to want to provide any solutions to a lot of this stuff. Chthonic, good morning to you. So, yeah. It comes to one of these points where you're like, the disaster is going to happen. It really is. I mean, again, allow me to pimp out to all my my Pony Club people and Patreon people. I did a video for you all last night. Well, not last night, but yesterday, about how businesses were going to be suffering massively during this crisis, and the fact that there has been no offer whatsoever of help put forward to them. And I am worried about that. I'm probably even more worried about that than I am for sort of, domestic people and people who rent, with their rents potentially rising to, and creating a rent crisis. just because, a government just doesn't like to have one crisis. It likes to have, multiple crises, at the same time. Stack them up and get them in. it's maybe, the Conservative way of doing things. But yeah, it's really shocking that we have all these crises on the table, and some of them have been rumbling on for months. The energy crisis being predicted since last March, with Martin Lewis, ringing the alarm bell, saying, hey, energy prices are going to be a problem. But it just goes to show you that oh, there we go. We dropped off there. Oh, there we go. There we go, we're back. Yeah, insurance company, we will make a drama out of your crisis. Yeah, I'm back. So, yeah, and I agree with Rishi Sunak with one of the comments he said, last night, that if the British economy breaks down or, becomes unreasonable, then businesses will just stop investing and will stop coming to the UK. And I'm like, hold on, Rishi, as much as I sort of agree with that assessment, that's been going on since 2016, I mean, since 2016, we've had 3 prime ministers, 4 general elections. That's not a good look. Oh, Matt C, good morning to you. That's not a good look for for a country. And then it gets even worse, where you remember our education secretary, the average time for the current education secretary is we've had 7 new education secretaries in the past 7 years. You know, it's just what's going on there. And then the minister in charge for housing, this is the best one. No minister in charge of housing, I think, I can't remember where this started now, but I have to try and relook it up, try and find out when this started. But we haven't had a minister for housing last longer than, I think, 12 months, 8 months, something like that. It's one of those things where you're like, what is going on? What is going on in government that you have, I'd argue, two very important, positions, education and housing, considering that we are in a housing crisis. In fact, as I said before, whenever we bring this up, I'd venture to say we're not just in a housing crisis, we are in a housing disaster because, well, basically the Conservatives have never done anything to actually try and solve it. We're going into an education crisis because very soon, in fact, it's already happening, we've got more teachers leaving the profession than we actually have joining the profession. We've got understaffed not enough, shall we say, math teachers have joined, not enough physics teachers have joined up. So we're entering how on earth are we going to get out of that one? When it comes down to it. The other thing that I've always said for the past couple of years, I think when we finally get all the numbers in for the pandemic, I think you're going to see that teachers suffered massively during COVID. I think I've said before, I've got a couple of friends who are teachers. Both of them caught COVID twice. And, I've heard other stories about other teachers in their school who have caught it more than twice because COVID was just running rampant through the schools, even though the Tories were desperate to get people back in. Get them all back to school, and then, finally we could get the parents back to work. So went the saying at that time, even though that's not what they were saying publicly, it's more what they were saying privately. There was none of this COVID protection stuff that was being amped up. There was no air filtration systems. There was none of this stuff that the government promised to deliver to many of these schools. And I think I wouldn't be too surprised if we found out that if you took it by profession, it wouldn't surprise me if teachers were the most affected group for long COVID. It would not surprise me at all if that came up. Oh, hang on. This could be fun. Oh, well, they've let me pass a couple of times, so hopefully they'll maybe let me pass this time. We'll see. Yeah. Swan patrol again. Medical profession will be the worst. Yeah, obviously the medical profession will be the worst, obviously because they were on the front line of this. But it wouldn't surprise me if, when it came down to it, it was the teachers that came up second. for this. Let's see if we can get past. I know. I just want to get past. Wake up, swans. If only that one there wasn't there, I could confidently walk past, but I'm a bit hesitant to do it. And I don't want to just risk dashing by either, so I'm just going to take it slow and steady. It's all right. I just want to get by. That's all. Thank you. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. A bit of swan negotiations, you know. Bit of negotiations. That's how you do it. Diplomacy a la Swan. That's it, Cathonic. Keep up the the true British art of negotiations. So yeah, it's bizarre to think that we've got such an awful government, and yet we're going to go into this crisis, and unfortunately it's an awful government dealing with an absolutely awful crisis that they don't want to really deal with, because one of the only few ways, we've touched upon this before and we've covered this this week, as soon as Truss gets in, she talks about how she's not going to do any handouts, that she's not going to do any type of this nonsense that she thinks won't help the crisis. Instead, she's going to be like, no, we have to cut taxes, which we've said before. If you cut taxes, that means the government will now provide less services, and you will have to ultimately borrow more to do some of this stuff, to provide for other areas. And when it comes to sort of business support as well, many of these businesses are still struggling through because of the pandemic and because of the lack of support that the government didn't give to businesses during COVID. And for those of you Pony Club members or Patreon members, we talked about the situation of a cafe in Leicester, and how bad and serious the situation was for that cafe. And I've said before, I'm worried this is going to be a big snowball effect. And I think it's going to be, something's going to happen. And I can't say what it is, because even I don't know what it is. I think something is going to happen, and it's just going to roll. And it's just not going to stop. And it's going to stop. It's got to be one sort of, as if you've ever seen like a snowball roll down the mountain, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually it just turns into, an avalanche. I think that's where we're going to go. But I can't predict what it is that's ultimately going to cause it. But I can tell you, November is probably where it's all going to kick off. So You hear pitchforks being sharpened. Surely this must be the death nail for the Tories, Matt C. Yes, really it is. I think people have long since now realised that they just can't do it. That they're just completely incompetent governments. And funny enough, I think you've had the buffoonery of Boris Johnson cover up and be the smokescreen that the Tories just can't see through. That Boris Johnson was a completely incompetent government. And that it just was not a competently run government. And, you know, we've said before, many, many times, whoever takes over Johnson is going to inherit a very, very divided party. So I think, you know, as we've said before, you know, the civil war is coming, folks, for the Tory party. And it was always going to kick off when Boris went, because Boris himself is going to be involved in this civil war. You know, he's going to go and cause trouble from the backbenchers. So is Rishi Sunak. So is probably Penny Mordaunt, probably Tom Tugendhat and Kimmy Badenoch, if they don't get offered, you know, some senior positions in Truss's government after coming out and, you know, saying, well, now we'll support you. And, you know, you may remember on these walks, we did all the, you know, we've talked very often about, oh, they need to, you know, why is the right-wing vote so split? It's because they all have different ideologies and different competing philosophies, even on the right wing of the party. And it's going to reflect in the polls. But there isn't going to be an early general election. You know, I would be very surprised if there is an early general election. I'll be very surprised. But the Tories are not going to give up the power that they have for the next 2 years just to risk it all on trying to win another general election. And the right wing knows it, especially the far right of the party. That's why they got so disgruntled under Boris. That's why they constantly talked about, oh, we're not, you know, fulfilling the true Brexit benefits of the party. Because they had such an overwhelming majority. No one could have stopped them. Even if all the opposition lined up and voted against them, they could not stop anything the Conservatives wanted to push through. Because they can't, you know, unless there was like a significant backbench rebellion, you're not going to see it. And of course, we're going to have Brexit reignite again because of the Northern Ireland situation, which still has not been resolved. Partly because the DUP are using their position, or at least the position they're in, to cause trouble in Northern Ireland. You know? And the DUP's position has been very clear. They do not want any type of border in the Irish Sea. They want to get rid of the Good Friday Agreement. You know, you've got Liz Truss threatening that she'll trigger Article 16 that we went through a couple of days ago, and then she'll trigger, she'll push through her protocol bill, which is very, very worrying, given the fact that not only is that us unilaterally going to wreck an international treaty, but it's guaranteed to start a trade war, which we will not win. And we have to hope that this is just Liz Truss saber rattling, that the cooler heads that time and time again stopped, Frost every time he saber rattles, saying, I'm going to trigger Article 16, I'm going to trigger Article 16. Like some rampant toddler, although he's now threatened that he wants to stand as an MP so that he can get into Liz Truss's cabinet. So we might be seeing more of Frost in the future if that happens. The cooler heads came in and said, if you do that, these are going to be the consequences. And then you're going to have to solve these consequences. And then they've looked at the consequences and gone, maybe not, Frost. Maybe not. We can only hope that, those in the civil service just come out and say, okay, Liz, if you trigger Article 16, this is what's going to happen. How then do we deal with all these problems you are going to create? And hopefully she goes, oh, and then just doesn't do anything, But unfortunately, she's being heavily backed by the ERG, the European Research Group, to do all this and to push through all their crazy nonsense that they wanted to get through, since they got Boris Johnson and since they got this massive majority in. So there is going to be a push, a significant push by the far right of their party to do and achieve all these, marvelous Brexit benefits. But as we've said, I don't know how many times before, there are consequences for triggering all those actions. And even they do not have, solutions to these problems. The other thing we found out yesterday, we did the video about the Kent brewery. What is it? The old dairy brewery, I think it was something like that, and they were called. And turns out, as some people have pointed out in the chat or in the comments, the owner was a Brexiteer, cheering on Brexit. As if Brexit was going to be the solution to all their problems. But they've lost 95% of their export market to the EU. They were complaining in that article about all the extra paperwork, the transport costs, the fact that it cost them £400 just to send out 12 bottles of beer of a sample to try and win a, stockist or supplier, buy our beer. £400. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for them to support that. And that's why I was going to go over last night, actually. Some of their comments and Twitter profiles and comments that they had made about Brexit, and compare them with their article that they were complaining about now. But yeah. Yeah, but it's not the Brexit I voted for. Exactly. And another interesting thing came up as well in I think it was the Yorkshire bylines. They'd recently just done a survey, and they'd found out when they'd asked people, what do you actually want? And both Leave and this is the big point. Leavers voted overwhelmingly to go to rejoin the single market and even accept freedom of movement. So the idea that us trying to sell single market membership is a toxic thing actually might be a lot of an easier sell than we could have imagined. So there is that's come through. But ultimately, you've got a ton of radically different things going on, and crises in the government. And Liz Truss is just not prepared to handle them. And I'll say this now to our foreign contingent, in the chat. To you guys, it's going to be, fun to watch as we, as Liz Truss just, steers us completely off a cliff edge. But to us, living in the UK, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. At that point, you just don't know what to say about it. It's as the comment goes, make you live in interesting times. Morning. Interesting times indeed. Or at least not so interesting times. Disaster politics. Exactly. And again, that was the point of my sort of video last time. It's, if we change the PR voting system, it won't permanently lock the Tories out of power, but it will moderate them. It will moderate them vastly. They won't start plunging towards these crazy ideas, as much. It would more, and as we can hope, if they do lose power, the moderates retake over, the Tory party, because any attempt to sort of rejoin, a single market membership, a customs union membership, or even rejoin the EU, will need that support and those moderate Tories to back that push. Just as they did originally, back when we originally joined. So, I think that is already on the card. You've seen when we first started covering the Tory leadership contest, we covered the desperate plea from Conservative Home, please do not elect another populist. Well, what have they done? They've gone and elected another populist. We had we went over the Rishi Sunak simp who said, for God's sakes, please do not vote for Liz Truss, the party is going to be split down the middle. And if they lose power, wow. Oh boy, is it all going to kick off if they get kicked out of power. You know, there are some serious problems, you know, internal disagreements in that party that if they are out of power are going to explode even more, because you do not have sort of the gift to keep these people quiet of offering them like junior ministerships or cabinet positions or anything like that. You haven't got anything to offer these people. So when it comes up, and oh boy will it come up, it's just going to explode. And it will be fun to watch. You know, it will be fun to watch. It's a disaster of their own making. And certainly, you know, we will sit there and we will laugh at their sheer incompetence as they fall to pieces. But as always, oh, I feel so guilty now. Caviland and Regnard, good morning to you guys. Good morning to you as you just join us as we just set to finish. Sorry about that, guys. Like I say, this was the makeup stream for last night for not streaming. Like I say, I had to go and, you know, fulfill my you know, deputy president duties. I had to go to a Senate meeting last night, so that was fun. But yes, as always, like I say, feel free to watch the VOD back after we finished tonight. After we finished later today. The Good Morning Walk this weekend will not be on a Saturday morning. It will be on Sunday morning, because we've got. I'm probably going to be very hungover because I've got a friend's birthday that I will be going to on Friday in Doncaster. So I'll be going there, and yes. Fun times will be had. Certainly a lot of alcohol, but yes, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you on the weekend on Sunday, not Saturday this time, for the Good Morning Walk. Like I say, enjoy the videos we've got coming out. Remember to hit the like and share button before you leave. Like I say, it helps out the channel massively. And of course, if you want to help support the channel, we do have now my Buy Me a Coffee link back. So yes, you can buy me a coffee again now if you would like. There's also the YouTube thank you button, although I don't know if it's on the live streams or not. That's also a one-off donation system as well that's there. There you go. You have some pony. That's also a one-off donation link there. But if you want to support the channel sort of more long-term and get the sort of the weekly videos that I make as well, there's the Patreon page. That's a link down for that down below. And of course, there's the YouTube subscription called The Pony Club. Yeah. Where you get sort of, as you can see, Cathonic's got a little badge next to his name, as a couple of other people have. And when you've got that, you also get access to some sort of special emojis that are sort of unique to the channel. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Cathonic, for posting that. And like I say, the more people that join that, the more emojis that I can sort of commission. And like I say, I'm waiting for sort of a couple more people to join, and I can order sort of another big batch, because I can't just go to I can't go to them. So can you make me one emoji? You know, I need to at least make it sort of, you know, a couple sort of to make it worth it. So, as always, thank you very much as always for joining us, and we'll see you very soon for another Good Morning Walk.